Welcome to Qoheleth with Chuck Frank. This is our study of the wisdom writings of Solomon. And this is Q2, a message for you. The sun also rises, and the sun goes down, and hastens to the place where it arose. The wind goes toward the south, and turns around to the north. The wind whirls about continually and comes again on its circuit. All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. To the place from which the rivers came, there they return again. All things are full of labor. Man cannot express it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. So this sounds like an exercise in futility. It sounds like a negative message. And yet, none of what we read in Ecclesiastes is meant to be negative. It's meant to be a directive. So Solomon says that the sun rises, and then it goes down, and then it hastens to the place where it came up again. It's just on that same circuit, maybe changes a little by the season, but it's the same thing over and over and over again. He says the wind goes to the south and to the north, and it's constantly whirling about, and it comes back on the same circuit, and there doesn't seem to be any reason or fulfillment in this endeavor. And he goes, what about the rivers? The rivers are all leading to the sea, yet they never fill the sea up, right? They just keep running water constantly into it. They never get it full. And imagine somebody over 3,000 years ago has figured out that the water goes to the sea, it evaporates, it becomes clouds, it gets moved by the wind, it dumps back over the mainland, and that water fills into the rivers, and it just keeps going. But he's saying, okay, great system, but what's the point? What's the point in all this striving? He says, man cannot express it. He goes, look at your eye. Your eye just keeps seeing constantly. Right? They get tired. You may want to close them, but as soon as you open them, they're seeing things. And the same thing with the ear. The ear is constantly filled with hearing. So all this is about labor, and it just goes in a cycle, and it's a giant hamster wheel. And what's the point? And the point is that it's the will of God that all of this striving will end in complete and utter defeat, right? You can, no matter how big your toy chest gets, or how much you believe in the meme from Madison Avenue that the one who dies with the most toys wins, if you talk to those folks on their deathbed, they'll say, wow, I totally missed the point here. This was all about relationship. And most of those people don't get that. Yeah, it was about relationship. It's about your relationship to God. So let's look at Luke 11:31 for a second, because that gives us an interesting insight on this. It says, the Queen of Sheba will stand up against this generation on judgment day and condemn it. For she came from a distant land to hear the wisdom of Solomon. Now, someone greater than Solomon is here, but you refuse to listen. Who's speaking here? Jesus is speaking. Jesus is saying, you know what? The Queen of Sheba was incredibly wealthy, incredibly powerful. She was in charge of the entire area of the region we call Yemen today. And she kept hearing so much about Solomon that she thought, you know what? I'm going to go there. I'm going to show my pride and bring fantastic gifts, but I'm going to have a whole bag of gotcha questions that I am going to ask this guy, and we'll see how smart he is. And she gets there, and he answers the question so profoundly that she sits at his feet and stays for days, just listening to him expound and asking him questions. And then Solomon switches it on her. He gives her gifts that were better than the gifts she brought and sends her home. So this was a powerful situation. And Jesus is saying, you know what? At the end, the Queen of Sheba is going to stand up and she's going to condemn all of you because she made all that effort to come and see if Solomon was the real deal. And Solomon is minuscule compared to Jesus Christ. And Jesus is saying, you know what? The Queen of Sheba will stand up against you folks because she came from a faraway land just to hear the wisdom of Solomon, and now a greater than Solomon is here, but you refuse to listen. Look, all the striving is great, but only if you're looking for God's directive. If you take God out of the equation and make it about the venality of gathering assets, you're going to be the biggest loser in the end. You'll be exactly what Solomon's describing here. It's just over and over the same thing. You don't want that. You want it to have some meaning. You want to put up your treasure in heaven. And that's going to be in the 12th chapter of Ecclesiastes. That is going to say, well, look, all this, it only makes sense one way. And that's what we're hoping you'll understand. God bless you all.